JD Martinez has an offer from the Rangers. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more coming up on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Clay Link of RotoWire.com here with FSWA Hall of Famer, the legend Todd Zola. Todd, always a pleasure talking with you. And yeah, JD Martinez has an offer, non-guaranteed though, according to John Heyman of the New York Post. So he says Martinez unlikely to accept the non-guaranteed offer, but the Rangers searching for something, some sort of answer with a bottom 5 scoring offense in Major League Baseball, 25th. So they're sounds like they're looking for ways to inject some offense, but JD probably not the answer right now. Do you think we see Martinez back in Major League Baseball at his age?
I don't know. And if we
sounds like he still wants he's staying in game shape apparently.
I suppose, and he's kind of got the skill set that he could just jump back in, but I don't think so. No smoke equals fire, maybe, I guess. I'm not counting on anything. It does bring up an interesting point about the Rangers. There was a piece in The Athletic yesterday or today talking about how Globe Life is playing as the league's best pitching venue.
Yeah, ball not flying very much there.
Yeah, and they're doing all sorts of tests. Is the wind different? What doors are open? I mean, they're just doing everything they can. My research shows that these things are variable, and it's nothing, it's not. There may not be a reason other than happenstance. Now, the offense isn't good on the road either, but I don't, it's just the Rangers are concerned. The park isn't playing. Of course, it's helping their pitching. It's helping, Tyler Miley's hurt, but there's been a couple of pitchers. DeGrom doesn't need any help anymore. Good Lord, that's just silly. I mean, don't take a chance. I talked to Paul Spohr a couple times in the I can't believe you're taking a chance on Jacob DeGrom. Well, Paul's looking at the standings, looking up, looking down on me now with what DeGrom's doing. But anyway, I'm not. I mean, if anybody could, kind of pull the Roger Clemens and come back in July and do well, it's Martinez. But I don't see it.
Yeah, the Rangers 4th in the American League West right now, a game under 500, a half a game behind the Angels of all teams.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing, especially given that pitching that you mentioned, that they are just, struggling to this extent. And yeah, I know the ball isn't flying as much around the majors, but it sounds like especially at Globe Life, it's a kind of a
maybe their seams are even higher. They got the really high seams in Globe Life. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange. But yeah, JD, he's 37. So, he's pushing it. And last year was a pretty dramatic fall off, but still has some productive years this decade.
Doesn't it seem like Seager, that Martinez is like 37 for the past 5 years?
Yeah, it does. Feels like he's been 37 forever, but he was an all-star as recently as 2023, so it's not. And that was his 3rd consecutive all-star appearance. So it sounds like he's staying ready, but we'll see if he ends up getting an actually guaranteed offer.
Maybe he's got Rick Porcello throwing in batting practice. Porcello just disappeared, right? I mean, He never retired. Who was it retired this week?
Oh, yeah, I saw
Whit Merrifield, I think.
Whit Merrifield, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, no, cross him off my list. But, yeah, Porcello never, retired, but it's like, no, we don't want you. Anyway, maybe he did, and we just didn't cover it.
Well, sometimes the game just kind of passes you by unceremoniously, but we'll see if we get JD back. Pretty light week for Fab in the RotoWire Stake League. I had Fab run last night. A good number of pickups, but not a whole lot of money spent. Jacob Lopez was the top pickup in the Stake League last night, and Jacob Lopez, having a nice little run here. A $6 ad, and over his last 3 starts, Jacob Lopez of the A's has a 0.47 ERA, 1 earned run allowed in his last 19 innings. It was a 24-5 K to walk. What do you think? Is this sustainable or something close to this?
I'll bet he was.
Lopez?
I'll bet he was a secondary, or the second bid for the past couple of weeks, and finally made it onto somebody's roster. It's it's those strikeouts, right? I mean, they catch your attention. They did when the first 12 strikeout games. Like, wow, but it's only one game. Now it's been 3 now. Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that you gotta. What do you want to say? You can't fake strikeouts. Yeah, your swinging strike should match up with there's luck involved, whatever. Nerd, Zola, but you can't fake strikeouts, and he's striking people out.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be interested.
Yeah, and there's, like I said, just not a lot out there this week. So if he's still sitting out there, I think he makes a lot of sense. Could help pitching staff. A lot of pitchers, all over the place. So he could maybe bring some stability to your fantasy rotation. Real quick, we'll pause to answer a question in the chat from Slayer Live PR. Aaron Nola or Luis Heel as a stash? They're both on the wire in his league. For me, that'd probably be Heel. I mean, even when Nola's healthy and things are going right, the home runs are always there. Maybe I'm not giving him enough credit, but I mean, he probably is out another 3+ weeks or so. Nola.
Yeah, I think if it's an upside stash, if it's not, I need help. If it's strictly upside, as Heel.
Yeah.
Nola's safe, air quote safe. Not this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, like you said, even if Nola's Aaron Nola, he's a good pitcher, but he's not going to save you down the stretch. So, and this isn't saying Heel's going to be the guy either, but of the two, I'd rather have Heel. And this, me, Aaron Nola stan. I mean,
I was a believer too coming into this year, like at his cost, but he has just been, dramatic fall off for him this year. I mean, it should be better when he comes back, but he had the ankle that first put him on the IL, then a stress reaction in his rib cage.
Yeah.
Likely out at least through the All-Star break. So it's a lot of uncertainty with health and performance when it comes to Nola. And then we had another question wondering if it's too early to stash one of the Mets pitching prospects. We did see Canning go down with a likely, it looked like an Achilles tear.
Have they heard yet? Yeah.
I haven't heard yet,
right,
officially,
right.
But you could kind of in the replay see that pop like we saw with Halliburton in the NBA.
They're all, the team doesn't come out and say we expect it to be Achilles without them expecting it to be the Achilles.
Mm-hmm. And Sean Manaea had a recent setback, but I don't know, those pitching prospects for the Mets are just too uncertain for me. I mean, I liked what Sproat showed in spring training, but
all right, as I told them on the radio today, when it was like 12:30 in the afternoon, and it would have been 9:30 West Coast. If you're eating lunch or breakfast, don't look up what Sproat's done lately. It's not pretty.
Cause some uneasiness in your stomach.
He has not, and that was the first thing I thought of this morning. Was I'm writing a note on Canning. Oh, let's see what Brandon Sprout's doing. Nope.
Yeah, I liked him in spring and thought maybe he'd help the team this year, but if that's how things are going for him.
We'll see. I mean, he's hurt, so we'll see what's going on there now. Mm-hmm. But as far as McLean and Tong, we had a note on Tong. He's been just recently, I think, elevated in the system. I don't know that the Mets will go that route with either of them. Maybe assuming Canning is out, they will probably acquire somebody at the deadline, which we're getting much, much closer to be able to say in a couple of weeks, right? I mean, It's a month away.
Yeah, true. And, we just had Slayer follow up in the chat that he's going to go with Heel, but then he also mentions Andrew Painter. So that's another guy to keep in mind with Nola. Like, I'd say there's a 90% chance Nola slots back into the rotation. But
I think he's going to, assuming barring a step. Mick Abel, what they could be doing, what the Phillies might do is kind of figure out a way to work both Abel and Painter in down the stretch to kind of get them both going and keep their innings up, but not overdo both. I think Abel pitches tomorrow. Will be his next start, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's right. Let me double check though. tonight, actually.
Tonight, okay.
At
Today or tomorrow,
Atlanta.
because everything's. I did. You know how it is. You write up one slate and you put it for the DFS, and tomorrow's for streamers, so the names start to run together.
Well, Jonah Heim was the second highest pickup here, and same number as Casey Schmidt at $4. But when Jonah Heim is a top pickup, it's a pretty light week. But plus, there's only one catcher league. Heim's doing fine, but he barely clears that bar, if at all, in a one catcher league.
It sounds like Francisco Alvarez or one of the catchers that is struggling to need a replacement.
Yeah, Alvarez. I was a little surprised to see him option to AAA, but
the day after he hit a home run
outing. Yeah,
right.
True.
So doesn't that? I think you guys mentioned it in the notes, but the first thing I thought was this must have been planned regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you hit a home run and your reward's heading to Syracuse to ride some buses, that must have been agreed upon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It was a rough go for Alvarez after he returned from injury, so it seemed like, that home run was not going to save him. Casey Schmidt, who I mentioned, had a little bit of a wrist scare recently, but his CT scan came back negative yesterday. I've seen some people asking about Casey Schmidt, and he's got a 799 OPS, 4 homers. But in that park, I just feel like it's going to be hard for him to be productive.
He's shown stretches before, but he gets exposed when he on a prolonged stretch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't think he's that good.
He's a major league player. He gets a little bit of a heater, and then he gets picked up, and then he's this is the Kyrene Paris. It's it's like the old thing where we talk about all the time. You pick up a guy who's hot because by the time he's in your lineup, he's not. Some of them stay hot. Odell, this guy Schmidt. I mean, he's filling, but he hasn't figured anything out. It's just a nice little hot streak.
And I get that some people have to plug holes in their starting lineup. So these are the kind of in a 16-team league, these are the kind of guys that you're
absolutely
scraping for. Isaac Collins kind of fits that mold as well for Milwaukee. Every year I'm surprised at how good Milwaukee is, and they're doing it again this year.
The thing with Collins is I don't know that we have the report on Mitchell yet, but it sounds like he may require a second surgery. And if he does, Collins is, now he is what he is for the whole season. A nice player for the season. He's your fifth outfielder, but he's playing.
Yeah, and actually in June, he's batting .314 with a 10-15 OPS.
He's heading pie.
Yeah, and 13 walks this month. So looks like maybe he's a little bit of a diamond in the rough if you need some help there.
I was on Mitchell this year too, and oh well. It's why I'm saying once again, I wish my teams are doing better.
Me too. Fantasy baseball is hard, man. It's no easy piece of cake, especially with the level of competition nowadays. It's no easy task. Trevor Rogers, $4. We were talking about him in our work chat here, and wondering if he's going to stick in that Baltimore rotation. Charlie Morton's turned it around a bit. Cade Povich coming back from injury, but with where this team is at, and the results in that starting rotation so far, I think it makes all the sense in the world for them to continue to, give Rodgers a long look in this rotation.
I think I mentioned in the Slack you said I think they go 6-man, if nothing else, to keep Sugano pitching once a week like he was used to. His numbers have been pretty poor lately, Tomoyuki Sugano. So this keeps him on a once a week. Grayson Rodriguez comes back. Wouldn't hurt him to have a every 6 day. Maybe Morton's traded. Maybe Kramer. Someone's traded when Rodriguez comes back, maybe. So I think they just keep with a 6-man or modified 6-man, which leaves Rodgers in. Now, it's easy for me to say here, I think Rodgers is going to stay in rotation. I'm not the one that does the depth chart and has to reflect that on our site, But I think if I'm thinking about it, I think Rodgers stays.
Yeah, I kept him in for a couple additional starts next week. He'll be on our 2-start list. Obviously tentative because Povich did make a rehab start yesterday through 4 1/3 innings too. So not a guarantee that he'll need another start in the minors, but possible. And heading into the All-Star break, that would make some sense to kind of, give Sugano a little bit of a breather, Eflin a little bit of a breather. Eflin may be a trade candidate. I could see that. And plus, Charlie Morton, while he's turned it around a little bit, it's not like he's already moved to the bullpen once, so
yeah,
it's not like he's firm in that rotation. I think a lot more upside with a guy like Rogers. And then Ryan Presley at 3. It seems like Daniel Palencia has kind of established himself now, but Presley's still looming as a option. Christopher Morel at 3.
Kind of resurgence.
Yeah, he was this time last year. I don't believe he was on the waiver wire, but he's fallen a little bit, but starting to surge in the right direction again.
Yep.
Jake McCarthy at 2. I believe that was a James pickup, along with Grant Taylor at $1.
And yeah, as James explained in the radio this morning, well, check local listings. He has Corbin Carroll. So McCarthy is just a natural substitute, especially if you need to keep the steals up, because Carroll's out until you get to the break's only 3 weeks away. It's not like this damning oh no number like it was, a few weeks ago. But the point being, McCarthy is the ideal replacement for Corbin Carroll. Listen, he's not going to get the same stats, right? But coming close to it nowadays is McCarthy should come close, at least in steals.
Yeah, that's one area where you feel pretty good that it'll help you out. And then Grant Taylor got his first career save on June 22nd. Grant Taylor of the White Sox, and then a 2-inning hold on June 25th. So in that high leverage mix, but this team is just so bad that
I think he opened last week too. I mean, he's just doing everything. I'm curious, and we've talked about this, if he's going to pull the Josh Hader route and never see the starting rotation again because he's so successful, or if this truly is a transition just to kind of monitor Taylor's innings and go back to the rotation next year. So very, very curious to see, because remember, Hader was only going to be in the bullpen that 1 year. He hasn't seen the first inning since, right?
Yeah, that's true. Some guys they transition to the bullpen. They just make it impossible to move them back because they're so effective.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think just given that there are so few like save candidates out there, that Taylor makes some sense. But
don't question the skills at all.
Oh yeah, it's just kind of like, I get it if you really need a closer, and I do in this league. But Taylor at $1, maybe I should have gone that route, but I ended up getting Phil Maton at 0, dropping Francisco Alvarez, who we talked about. But Ryan Helsley's just been on a bit of a rough stretch. He has turned in 3 consecutive scoreless outings, but before that he'd been scored upon in 4 consecutive outings. So 3 straight blown saves for him to start June. Got on track a little bit lately, but over his last 7 appearances, he has a 5.14 ERA, 1.57 WHIP. Any concerns about Helsley, or am I overthinking things here a little bit?
Coming into the season, other than there's no way he's going to repeat that level of saves, even though the Cardinals are a better team. But no, to me, it's just a run, a blip. And if Phil Maton is the best next win up, I think Helsley, it goes back to Helsley at some point. I wonder, the Cardinals aren't going to fall. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I was going to say, would they trade Helsley at the deadline but I don't think they're going anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're going to be sellers. They could be, but yeah. So, your guy Alec Burleson's gotten really hot, so
he
might be a pickup if you need something.
He has first base outfield eligibility. Still facing mostly only right-handers, but that's not a terrible thing. Jordan Walker is out with appendicitis. He didn't need the surgery. He didn't need the appendectomy, but Walker he was in a short side platoon, but still while on the Cardinals.
By the way, Austin Hayes just activated from the IL.
Nice.
Stop or start season.
There you go.
And by the way, not available in this league because he was already stashed, but Chase Burns, pretty impressive debut against the Yankees at home. Liked what I saw, striking out Aaron Judge. I saw you tweeting about that, and definitely going to be a top pickup this week.
How fun is it going to be watching Burns and Mizorowski in schemes over the next knock on wood 5 years? We'll see, between injuries and can't afford this guy, People, I mean, this seems like hyperbole, but reading about Burns a few years back in their development, people had Burns at least equivalent, if not higher, than Skeens. That's just amazing. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. That's where you have to at least think about Burns as far as potential.
And Mizorowski, I've been really impressed. I knew he had good stuff and had a lot of hype as a prospect, but this level of success, I'm pretty surprised by. Just given his walk rates in the minors, but the stuff is just so good.
He's 6'7", so what do that's the toughest thing to do is repeat your mechanics.
Yeah, true.
But once you learn how to do it, just ask Randy Johnson. So
that's a good point. And man, if he could reach those heights, I mean,
wow, well,
that'd be insane. That's
the
a little
bit
bit
in trouble. I mean, the birds will be scared, but other than that.
And shouldn't put Hall of Fame expectations on a guy, but he's gotten off to about as good of a start as you could possibly have to his big league career, Mizorowski. All right, well, let's get into our 2-star pitchers here momentarily. We'll pause briefly for a quick word from our sponsors. All right, we're back here on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Clay Link and Todd Zola heading into the weekend. Hope everybody has a fun and safe weekend ahead and enjoy some good baseball. We're looking ahead to next week. You can follow along with us at our probable pitchers grade. You go to custom start date June 30th. So, man, we're halfway through pretty much.
Somewhere tonight, we'll mark halfway through.
Yeah. Well, it's
the halfway pole.
Yeah. Start with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ryan Nelson versus San Francisco versus KC. This is one where this guy just, it's boring, but he did have 7 Ks. He's been pitching okay lately. Did have a 7-run outing against the Reds on June 7th, which shows the downside. 3.71 ERA at 105 WHIP. Not terrible, but I can only go, I think, 2 on Ryan Nelson.
Yeah, he probably deserved. They're both at home. All right, they're at home. I'm gonna go 2. I'm just I'm just nervous. But as I said before, I'm slow to warm on Nelson. But I have gone from ignoring him to a 2.
And since we were talking about Mizorowski, we did have a question about, would you trade Vlad Guerrero Jr. for Clase and Mizorowski? It's kind of a need-based trade. I would lean no, because I still think Vladdy's going to get real hot sometime, but did just have that scare.
If it's a win now and you need now, I mean, I can see it. I assume it's Emmanuel, not Jonathan, because I'm not looking at the chat right now.
Yeah, not Jonathan wouldn't be a mixed league type of guy.
Well, yeah, but the point being, I mean, Mizorowski, it could be a keeper. There could be keeper scenarios. If I would prefer a more established starting pitcher if I'm trading Vlad, but how many are there now?
Yeah, true.
What are you going to get? So, it's worth asking. It's not a no-brainer. It's completely contextual.
Yeah, I would lean no just personally, but yeah, if
I would
really need pitching, and
I could too.
Clase has gotten on track.
You can see a scenario where it would be worth it. How many? If there's 100 leagues, how many times is that scenario, going to make to wish 2, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I can see a scenario, and it's still taking a chance on Mizorowski, and it means that you couldn't get a more established, Wheeler, or how many guys like that would be available now.
Yeah,
it's not a categorical no, and it's not a no-brainer. It depends on the league itself.
Well, back to our 2-star pitcher, Zach Gallen lines up for the same 2.
I'm just yakking because I don't want to talk about this one.
I know, because I've seen some people saying, Gallen's a drop. I don't have him there quite yet. I moved him down to around 200. And if you're sick of him, the old rage drop, spite drop, whatever, maybe. But I still think Gallon will be a decent rest of season. Plus, this week's versus San Francisco versus KC, pretty good little setup here for him. I expect he gets back on track. I'm going to give him only a 3 for now, though.
The problem I have is I agree on paper that Gallon should rebound, but I can't point to the reason other than he's Zach Gallen. I can't say, look at these underlying metrics. He's striking guys out. No, he's not. He's not walking people. Well, the last start, he isn't giving up homers, which I guess is fine. I'm going to matchups, good matchups. And I'm going to go 3 as well, but it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, a lot of name value carrying that, I think, for both of us, but we'll see. I think maybe not a buy low, but if he was dropped, I would pick up Gallon. Just see what happens the rest of the way.
Encouraging that it was against the Braves on the road that he had his last outing, 7 innings, 89 pitches, good efficiency. So I think that's encouraging.
Real quick, Parker.
Oh, wait, it wasn't. That may not have been his last start. I'm sorry. I have to toggle down. Never mind.
Well, Parker in the chat was wondering if we think Julio Rodriguez will go off in the second half this year, just moving away from the starters momentarily. And he actually was part of your tout table question this week, Julio Rodriguez. In the mix, with a lot of other highly touted outfielders who are highly drafted as well. I do think Julio's going to go off again because he does it every year, it feels like. So I think remember at this time last year, he was just downright bad.
The thing too is with Rodriguez, we don't have to go over the question. It was like Pico Armstrong and James Wood were in there, kind of like the guys that we didn't expect. Mm-hmm. And then Tatis, J-Rod, and Churio.
Yeah.
Rank these 5. The thing with Rodriguez was he had a better second half, but it was mainly a final month.
Yeah, true.
It wasn't, Churio improved over the second half. Rodriguez was just on fire for the final 4, 5, 6 weeks. I expected more consistency. The park is really tough. I think he gets better, but of that list, for instance, he may be 4th or 5th on that list. Of course, there's top 20 players. So, whatever. But I'm a little disappointed. I mean, would have been Ohtani number 1. Rodriguez is the number 2 off the board a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Ahead of Witt, ahead of Judge. Hasn't manifested.
Yeah, and our preseason outlook for Rodriguez mentioned that on the morning of August 28th last year, he had 11 homers and 40 RBI and a 660 OPS, and then he just got absolutely
scorching. The final month. It wasn't even the second half.
Yeah, so I realize it's frustrating, but I do think in the end the numbers will be there. I think he hasn't really taken that superstar turn that a lot of people expect.
I think the market catches up next year. He's still going to be a quality player and a high draft pick, but I don't think we're seeing that, top 15 or 20 anymore.
Back to our 2-star pitcher grades for next week. We talked about Jacob Lopez as a pickup in the stake league. And in traditional leagues, it's going to be at Tampa Bay versus San Francisco. So he'll look to keep it rolling. Tampa Bay quietly really hot offensively.
Not so quiet anymore, huh?
Yeah, that's true.
Not quiet anymore.
They have, I think they're a game back of the Yankees or 2.
It's been incredible.
It's gotten really tight in that division. Yeah. So at Tampa Bay is a pretty scary matchup, but then home against San Francisco. Sutter Health Park you don't love. So a couple tough venues here. I actually think it's probably going to be a bit of a tough week for Lopez, but I'll still go with the way he's pitching, probably going to give him a 3 here.
I'm going to agree. I'm not as scared about Tampa just because he's been dealing with Sutter Health.
Yeah, true.
So.
Yeah, really impressive run for him. And
those strikeouts.
Tampa Bay does scare you, but
you can't fake those strikeouts.
Yeah, true. And then Grant Holmes for Atlanta versus the Angels versus Baltimore. He's been pretty good. I mean, serviceable. This Atlanta team, though, just aside from like Olsen and Acuna, they just cannot hit.
Yeah.
But versus the Angels versus Baltimore, I think Holmes is going to be on that 3 tier as well.
I think he's my top 3 at this point, but
Okay.
I agree. He had like 14 strikeouts the other day and fell off a little bit last time. Holmes in the greatest place, but LA and Baltimore, a couple of very beatable offenses.
We talked earlier about where Trevor Rogers fits, but he's got a 1.62 ERA. You know, if Povich returns next week, it could bump Rogers out of a 2-start week. But at Texas, at Atlanta, I think I'm going to have him below this Gallen, Lopez, Holmes tier, but pretty high end 2 for me.
I'm going to go 2 as well. Maybe not being a high end 2, but I'm going to go 2 as well.
Yeah. At least for this organization, that trade's looking a little better now. But well, compared to how it looked like at the end of April,
I suppose.
When Stowers was just red hot. No 2-star pitchers for the Red Sox, but
that's assuming Houck comes back.
Yeah, that's assuming Houck comes back. Buehler sounds like he's on shaky ground in that rotation. Tough guy. I think if you have him in fantasy, what do you think? Are you holding on to him?
I have not seen a whole lot that I like.
Yeah.
I know the Red Sox are trying to pigeonhole him into a certain style. It's not working. They backed off it a bit. Again, I can't point to the numbers and say, well, you know, check this out. He's just not getting it done. And he's kind of saying it himself. I need to get this. I need to do that. Well, I need to lose weight. I've been saying that for 20 years and it hasn't happened yet. Hopefully Buehler has better luck than I do. More than 20 years.
Anyway. I've been saying that for a few
more
years.
More than 20 for me, anyway.
Well, I got to admit, I did not realize just quite how good Matthew Boyd has been.
Oh, yeah.
This year. I mean, 2.65 ERA, 1.10 WHIP, 7-3, maybe an all-star. I mean, probably an all-star. Has given up 10 homers and 91 2/3 innings, but it's been a great addition for this Cubs team, the 34-year-old lefty, Matthew Boyd.
The one concern is he barely had 50 innings last year when you include rehab.
Yeah.
But he's 34, so I don't, it's, oh, no, we got to slow him down. I think you just, like a rental car, you just drive it till you can't drive it anymore. But something to do, keep in mind over the second half, especially if the Cubs are able to make secure a playoff spot a little early, we may not see the same pace.
Yeah, he's just going to be versus Cleveland versus St. Louis. I think I'm going to go 4. I think I have to, just given how well he's pitched so far.
He's going to end up he's going to be a 5 in my rankings, but if you use the rank, he's going to have a 5 type ranking, but I'm going to go 4 as well, just because he's not an ace. You know what? The heck with it. I think he's pitched. I'm going to go 5 because that's where he's going to end up. Home matchups. He doesn't get the strikeouts though. I just talked myself back down to a 4.
Okay, I'll delete the 5.
Let's move on before I make it lower.
Well, a good option either way, certainly.
Yeah, it's the strikeouts. He doesn't strike out enough to be a guaranteed 5.
Sure. That makes sense. Well, Chase Burns, tough task in his first start, home against the Yankees, now at Boston, at Philly. So he's really thrown into the deep end here right away. I think he's got the stuff to hold his own. But yeah, he's tentatively matched up opposite Garrett Crochet and Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid. Given those matchups, I'm probably going to go 2, but definitely a priority ad in fantasy for me this weekend.
If you can make it through this week, friends, home against the Rockies the following week. All right. I'm with you with a 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love either matchup. I don't love that we're pretty much the same on every single player either. But, I'm just being honest here.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, I caught most of that game, mentioned the strikeout against Judge, and I know that they did catch up to him a little bit, but man, looks so poised.
Yeah, really impressed with what I saw. But man, this is a harsh introduction to the big leagues,
isn't it? Though
I think he'll be fine, but could be some bumps in the road this week. By the way, Parker wanted to know when Bubba Chandler will be up. Man,
he's not helping himself.
Yeah, this is one I got wrong because I thought he'd be up pretty early. But now I've seen people just cut bait even after
Yeah.
the long stash. So
There was an injury, and he has not pitched that well. I would not. I can see cutting bait. I mean, but I would not be counting on Chandler. I'm just looking. He hasn't gone more than 4 innings. I know he's been hurt, so I would not be counting. He could be in the second half, I suppose, but he's not going to be the savior like we thought he might be.
Yeah, and I realize, and I'm actually in this boat in a certain league. I realize if you stashed Bubba Chandler this long, that it's, you're kind of pot committed. He feels like, but I think you maybe just be better off just moving on.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think you're pot committed. I mean, that means you're committed to hurting your team for the whole year, not just half. I agree. In some cases, like if you're waiting on what pitcher might be coming back, Grayson Rodriguez.
Sure.
Okay, we have an idea when he's going to come back and what he's going to do. I don't know. We don't know what Chandler's going to do. So I think there's a difference if you're waiting on a pitcher. If it's coming back around the All-Star break, I think that's kind of the delineation point. Anything into August, I'm not so like it anymore. But there's a couple guys I wish I could think of more than Rodriguez. Maybe it'll come to me that'll be back around the All-Star break.
Like I'd rather have Andrew Painter, for example, probably.
At least he's healthy, right?
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
And Slayer says he'd rather have Joe Boyle over Chandler. I think I'd agree.
Every week, Clay wants to know when Boyle's coming up.
Joe Boyle, I'm still waiting. But
and every week, somebody, Littell's due for a down spin. He's out over his skis, and Taj Bradley looks like he's on a, but every week they keep Boyle down.
I know. I sometimes with these stashes, it is hard to walk away, but maybe I'll have to do that finally with Joe Boyle. But I also think maybe they trade a pitcher at some point, the Rays.
Maybe.
We'll see. Back to our 2-star pitchers here. Gavin Williams, been one of the bigger disappointments for me. Just, it seems like he has a good start, then he kind of takes 2 steps back. So 3 earned runs his last time out, scoreless before, but he's just been kind of middle of the road overall, and that 1.43 whip is an eyesore. So,
yeah.
Let's see here with these matchups. At the Cubs and versus Detroit. That's a pretty tough 2-step there. I'm tempted to go 3, but realistically, I don't know if he's on the level of, Gallen, Lopez, Holmes. I think I am going to go. Yeah, I'm only going to go 2.
I am as well. And you mentioned it's the walks, especially because the Guardians, that's usually what their specialty is, figuring out how to reduce something to that effect. And it's not like he's striking out 8 or 9 while walking 3 or 4. He's barely striking out a battered inning. He's not striking out a battered inning lately. Over the season he is, but not lately. I'm going to go. I forget what you said. Did you say 2?
2, yeah.
Yeah, because that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah,
Cubs are still pouring it on.
Yeah, and when you have that much traffic on the base paths, you're prone to a blow up. So he could.
Yep.
He's got a lot of downside, I would say. Chase DeLander versus Houston versus the White Sox. Pretty highly touted prospect. Not a bad skill set here, but I think I'm going to go 0. Just both at home. He's not pitching all that well at the big league level.
Yeah, the lineups aren't scary. If you were to say 1, I wouldn't laugh, but I'm not saying 1. I'm saying 0 too.
Yeah.
I mean, Houston isn't anything to be. They're good. They're okay. They're not the old Houston though.
Just another example of never Rockies starting pitcher.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's such an uphill battle with no matter who you are. No 2-star pitchers for the White Sox. I think we have Jonathan Cannon set to return.
Yeah.
And Jack Flaherty, another guy who, like Zach Gallen, I've seen people suggest you should drop him. Like Gallen, I'm not quite there yet, but maybe I'm just behind the 8 ball in terms of coming around to just how bad he's been. 3 straight losses. He had that 8-run disaster and a 7-run hiccup before that. So, yeah, if you've got him, I understand the patience running thin on Jack Flaherty, but the team context is still so good, and the park is favorable. At Washington, at Cleveland. I'm going to turn this one over to you to start.
All right. This is glass half full. Okay. In that you mentioned those 15 runs over 7 innings against the Reds and the Rays.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of bounced back last time. Take away those 2 games. I know you can't take them away, but they were there. Take them away, and he's had like 5 of 6 games, which are quality starts. So I'm going to say that Flaherty figured something out, even though he walked 4 guys last time. I think there's a better chance Flaherty rebounds than does Gallen at this point, at least this week. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to go 3 with Flaherty. But I didn't expect to have to, say anything but 4. I thought he's just a 4. Sound like Moses Malone. That's a joke that no one will understand.
That went over my head, I have to say. But
back in the day, when the Phillies, when the Sixers were good, this is faux as far as win 4 games, and be the champions. He's predicting sweeps in the NBA.
Well, the Sixers were my team growing up because of Allen Iverson.
Yeah,
the AI I really.
Is that why you don't like to practice?
Hey, no, that's not very nice. But yeah, probably. But no, I used to have Allen Iverson and a Jerry Stackhouse jersey when I was a kid.
Here we go.
Colton Gordon of the Astros at Colorado at the Dodgers. Man, that's a tough one, but he's been okay. He's been more than holding his own. Let's see, the whip 130, 38 days.
Remember which one's Gordon and which one's Walter, because they're like, Gordon's not bad, but these are terrible matchups.
Both lefties, yeah. I think I'm only going to go 1, like desperation 1.
I can't even go that. Well, I can't go that high. Okay. I'm going to go 0. I think he gets exposed this week.
I got you down for 0.
Ooh, Hunter Brown of Colorado. That'd be just fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll probably carve him up.
Yeah.
Michael Wacha, Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen's really hit a rough patch lately. I did see maybe some talk about them maybe trading Bubich, but they'd have to command a pretty heavy price.
Why? They kind of nurtured him into what he is. Why? I don't. Maybe that's a rumor from the outside. I can't imagine. You don't put that much hope and resources into making a guy good and then get rid of him. Maybe that's why you do it. I don't know, but I wouldn't anyway.
Yeah, I think it was just speculation, but
clickbait. I got to stop clicking on these things. Insider says Red Sox should trade their entire outfield for nothing. I mean, I go, I hate this clickbait, but then I click it. So it's on me for clicking it.
Yeah. I mean, who knows if it's informed at all?
Oh, it's not.
So,
well, you go through it all the time before you post a note. What's the source? Oh, it's from a fan site. It's from a Pittsburgh Pirates fan site. No. I need to find if it's. I need a beat writer.
Yeah, and if it's a rival GM or something, I mean, of course they want to trade for.
Yeah. But how many blogger? I don't mean to be disparaging fan sites and bloggers, but I do need a better source if I'm going to use it in a piece.
Yeah. Well, for Kansas City, Michael Wacha and Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen's really hit the skids.
Lorenzen is what he is, right? He just he does the same thing every time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
For a stretch, but that any window of success is going to be pretty short-lived.
It's going to be fleeting. And you know what? We say that, though. He's going to, in the last 4 games, a 4.3 ERA and a 1.13 WHIP. That's better than league average.
True.
So even though
capable starting pitcher.
Yeah, he maybe you think he's more of a points league guy because he goes into the 6th and doesn't get too many strikeouts. I think he kind of an is what he is sort of guy, benefiting from the ball not flying this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, at Seattle, at Arizona. Seattle's got some offensive woes again. They're in another rough stretch.
Yeah.
At Arizona. Lorenzen. Sorry.
That lineup without Corbin Carroll is not nearly as intimidating. I think Suarez and Moreno's out too. Suarez is back. That missing Moreno, missing Carroll I know that they're amongst the league leaders in runs. I'm less scared of the Diamondbacks lineup for the next couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah. I've heard, of course, Suarez and Naylor bandied about in trade rumors.
Well, they've both been injured lately too, but both are back.
True. Suarez, though, just keep waiting for that real cold stretch. We just keep hitting. Waka, Lorenzen, I'm thinking a 1. Just the way he's been pitching lately. It's been kind of up and down. Waka, I'm thinking a 3.
I'm a 3 Waka, 2 Lorenzen. I think Lorenzen is what he is, and the results are just, they can be good, they can be bad. I don't think he's done anything differently. I like these venues. Well, I like Kansas City too as a venue, but I like these venues for a guy like Waka. For both.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Waka's a high end 3 for me.
Gotcha. Well, I got you down as a 2 for
Lorenzen. 3, but he's not going to make the 4 range, but I like him better than a few other 3s, especially in points leagues.
Tyler Anderson of the Angels at Atlanta, at Toronto. So, this is a guy who has, had stretches of success in recent years with the Dodgers and at times with the Angels, but 2-5 with a 4.41 ERA.
Been waiting for the other shoe to fall. Is it falling? Is it untied? It's beginning
slipping
to fall.
off.
Yeah. Having said that, it was against the Red Sox and there was a lot of traffic. 82 pitches taken out before some damage, and the bullpen saved him. Yeah, the previous 2 were kind of rough though, so regression's catching up.
Yeah, I got.
You want to say tough matchups, but they're not as tough as one would think. Atlanta, you talked about Atlanta already. Toronto, any given day they can hurt you, but they also can be beat.
A lot of good right-handed bats, though. I'm only going 1 on Anderson.
I am too. I was. I'm gonna go 1.
The no 2-star pitchers for the Dodgers because they got Shohei in that mix now. But yeah, Justin Wroblewski, Ben Kasparius there might be worth adding if they're still around. Wroblewski was picked up in the Stake League. I didn't mention him though. Edward Cabrera getting some buzz on the trade block. Versus Minnesota, versus Milwaukee. Might be a good reclamation project for some team, given that we've always seen the stuff, just the walks and the command has been all over the place. But actually, in terms of results, he's been pretty darn good lately. Wow.
Sounds like you're talking about Jesus Luzardo from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. That's the kind of.
Yeah.
Are we headed down that path?
I don't know that Luzardo ever had command issues to the extent that Cabrera does, but.
No, I think Luzardo, what it was, we got hurt, and then he kind of had the issues after we got hurt, and then before they, he didn't have the command issues to this extent.
Well, over his last 6 appearances, Edward Cabrera has a 1.80 ERA with a 1.23 WHIP, 4.5 walks per 9, though pretty standard and very volatile. So tough for me to trust. Let's see these matchups here. Versus Minnesota versus Milwaukee. Not the worst matchups here. I'm only going to go 2 though.
We're in lockstep a lot this week. I'm going to go 2 as well. I was wondering where you're going to go with that because I think you can go 1 or 3. I'm going to go 2 as well. They're at home. He's not going that deep into the games though, so that's going to stick me with a 2.
Yeah, and then for Milwaukee, no 2-star pitchers for them. Sounds like Brandon Woodruff. Getting close to his debut. We've been saying that for like 2 months, though. So
seems like it, huh?
This recovery from shoulder surgery has hit several setbacks, ankle and elbow. So it's been several interruptions for Brandon Woodruff. Joe Ryan at Miami versus Tampa Bay. Man, with they at Miami and the way he's pitched, I think Joe Ryan's going to be a 5.
Is he the first 5? Close to it.
Yeah, first 5.
He's a 5. I think I gave Boyd a 5. I'm going to give him
a 4 here for both of us, but
okay, all right. Maybe you know what? I talked myself into a 4 with the strikeouts. The lack of strikeouts for Boyd.
Matthew Boyd,
yeah. Ryan's got 22 strikeouts over his past 18 and a third. No issue there. No, 5 for Ryan.
What about Clay Holmes? This Mets team offensively has gone cold, but Holmes has a 2.97 ERA. Really good transition for him from the bullpen to a starting role versus Milwaukee versus the Yankees. So a little bit of a revenge game. Second half.
10 walks in his last 9 2/3, but both against Atlanta. But
I do feel like at a 2.97 ERA, like there's only one way to go. And
oh no, there's no
regression monster. Regression monster could bite this week.
There's no doubt.
Still think he's a 3 though.
Well, yeah, he's not facing Atlanta, who seems to have his number.
Yeah.
Both home, which you love. Yeah, 3.
And then for the Yankees, Marcus Stroman. We have due back on Monday. Let's see here. Yeah, I just made a second rehab start recently. Fried's a 5. I mean, he's been one of the best pitchers in all baseball. Stroman, though, I think is going to be a 0 on the opposite end of that spectrum.
I need to see it. He's only in there because of all the injuries, including a couple of recent ones. So no, that's it. They now have a big 3 with Fried and Schmidt and Rodon. Warren's not terrible at this point, but Stroman just doesn't do it for me. Never has.
Yeah, the Fried signing is really panned out well for them. Here's an easy one. Zach Wheeler 5 versus San Diego versus Cincinnati. Get that down here. Let's see. Next up, we have Andrew Heaney versus St. Louis at Seattle.
I'd like to think he's pitching better than he is. He's really not pitching that well.
Yeah.
He had a stretch.
He had a nice stretch, but this is Andrew Heaney. He's been
7 runs and 4 frames over his last 2. No, God. I'm going to go 2, but I'm not loving it.
We've seen this guy. Yeah, he's been in the majors for over a decade. Just up and down, usually a 4+ ERA. Yeah, I think a 2 sounds about right.
He's a tease, though, right? Because you look at it, you watch him pitch, you think he should be better.
Yeah, just can't trust him beyond a 2.
No
2-star pitchers for the Padres. Maybe Darvish back. He might be a pickup if you. Maybe a stretch to think Darvish is back next week. Did throw 40 pitches in a simulated game last week, Friday. So getting closer, but like we said with Woodruff, just kind of been waiting and setbacks along the way.
We also have Waldron in there. I mean, if it's Pivetta with a 2, I mean, he's a 4 or 5. You're using him.
Yeah. And then George Kirby, Emerson Hancock. Kirby and Hancock versus KC versus Pitt. Wow. Those are some really nice matchups. Yeah, it looks like Kirby, the strikeouts the past few starts have been down, but did have a 14K outing on June 8th. So I'm not really too worried about that. I think Kirby is going to be a 5, even though, still maybe not 100% back from that injury.
Yeah. Strikeouts aren't his game enough to be dangerous, but it's usually 6 1/3. I don't know that we can count on that, or maybe we can start counting on that. But I'm going 5 as well. But it's induced by the matchups. It's always been the pitcher with him. This is a matchup 5.
And Emerson Hancock with those matchups, I think has some appeal, but
so we bounced back last time.
Yeah, and since that first outing of the year, oh gosh, he had that 9-run blow.
Yeah, the Cubs. The Cubs will do that to you.
Yeah, 4 homers allowed.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where just bing, 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 bing. You just couldn't get him out of there fast enough.
I think I'm only going to go 1, but maybe
I'm going to go 2 with those matchups. I'm going 2.
I think he has a case for a 2. I'll stick with the 1 for now. All right, getting near the end of the list here. Logan Webb. Hayden Birdsong. Well, Logan Webb's a 5. Where do you land on Birdsong for this week?
Wish he did better his last outing because it was last night. Picked him up in my ESPN league and gave me a -11. Don't do that to me.
Yeah, I think I'm
undefeated against the editors. I can't. This is my first week I'm losing heading into the weekend. I got to do better.
Impressive. I think he might have shaken himself up with the retaliation pitch kind of going.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yesterday. That's a really good point. There's been a few of those going on this week. I'm still gonna go I trust him. I'm going to go 3.
Yeah, I think he's worked himself into that conversation.
Yeah, I'm not as scared about Arizona anymore.
And then Eric Fetty at Pittsburgh, at the Chicago Cubs. So,
Well, you're thinking the real quick note on the Birdsong. Sunday is going to be afternoon in Sacramento, which is going to be in the afternoon. Everything else the rest of this year is at night in Sacramento. It's going to be hot. It's going to be, but even so, I'm going to stick with my my mark 3.
Well, Eric Fetty at Pittsburgh at the Cubs. Really boring type of arm, but capable. I think he's probably going to be on that two tier for me, though.
Yeah, he's a 2-tier, and I'm not crying if that second game gets rained out.
Yeah. Drew Rasmussen. I mean, I talked about Matthew Boyd and how good he's been. I didn't quite realize it. Rasmussen's been just off the charts good.
Yeah.
Versus the Athletics at Minnesota. And I'm not going to go 5, but if somebody were to put him on that 5 range, I couldn't really argue much. He's going to be a 4.
It's going to be 4, and the reason was kind of explained last game. The Rays won't hesitate to take him out after 5. They hadn't been, but they had a little lead. He's been going 6 innings. They took Rasmussen out. He's still going to be managed. I should slow down when I say Rasmussen to get the whole name in and not call him Rasmussen. Yeah, people are upset. We've gone from Rasmussen being I'm not using him to I can't believe the Rays took him out early last game when he wasn't hurt. Well, he pitched like 40 innings last year.
Yeah, you got to keep that in mind. And we had a question about, who's a good trade target for Joe Ryan. And Patrick responded that, CJ Abrams, if you want to hit her. I think that's kind of the range you should be aiming high for sure.
I'm not going to throw names out of the blue. I mean, who knows who's available and what would help you. But, yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to trade away a good pitcher because you have to have a real excess to trade away. But teams, you could probably get a lot for them. I agree that Abrams is in the neighborhood, but I'm just not going to throw out names because there's so many guys that are in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I just thought that was a good name to throw out because that is kind of how high you want to be aiming.
Sure. If an example, I mean, absolutely a non-stud, but a very good player. Absolutely.
Yeah, you should definitely get a player you really like and feel good about in return for a guy like Ryan. Patrick Corbin versus Baltimore at San Diego. He was pitching okay, and, credit to him sticking around in the big leagues, but has been one of the worst starting pitchers for a while in baseball.
And it's starting to catch up to him.
Yeah, I just don't trust. I'm actually going to go 0 here. You going to give him a positive digit?
Does he deserve a 1? I'm going to go 1, but Baltimore's got nothing, and I don't love San Diego, but it's in San Diego, so I'm going to go 1.
Gotcha. All right. Max Scherzer returned.
Here we go.
Future Hall of Famer. Returned with 5 innings of 3-run ball against Cleveland. Only his second start of the year. 3 walks against 4 Ks, though. And we know that as his pitch count gets up, the thumb starts to become an issue. And we just haven't seen him turn the page fully on that yet. So Scherzer versus the Yankees versus the Angels. Probably going to go 3, but maybe the name brand carrying him there. If you've had him, I think you probably put him back in your active lineup.
I'm going 3 mainly because the Angels strike out a lot and Scherzer can take advantage. So I'm going to go 3.
Yeah, hopefully he gets past this thumb thing and you can see, high level Scherzer again soon. Kevin Gausman's been up and down, pretty good outings last time out. I know he
excellent outing.
Drew the ire of Guardians fans though. Didn't he plunk Jose?
Well, because Vlad got hit twice.
Yeah, retaliation there. But yeah, overall it was a great outing. I mean, 8 innings, 6 Ks, and he stumbled before that with 7 earned runs and got a couple 6 earned run outings on his ledger this season. But it is Kevin Gausman. Overall, it's been a nice bounce back. Not a 5 versus the Yankees versus the Angels. I think at 4 though. I still like 4.
And since it just came across, we mentioned Jose Ramirez. He's not playing tonight.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's just a, one-day thing and not anything more than that.
Yeah. X-ray is negative for both him and Vladdy, but could be a few days before we see Jose back in action.
The ball that hit Vladdy, though, is day-to-day.
Finally, Trevor Williams versus Detroit versus Boston. I think this one's going to be a 0 for me, too. I mean, Trevor Williams.
I can't go higher. Yeah.
Yeah. We saw him last year have some success, but even through that success, it looked like smoke and mirrors. And
Yep,
this
exactly.
year come back on him. All right. Well, let's recap our 2-start pitcher grades. But first, I'll bring you a quick word from our friends at the NFFC. Want to remind you that the NFFC RotoWire Fantasy Football Online Championship is live. Play fantasy football against your favorite RotoWire experts on NFFC this football season. Jeff Erickson, Nick Whalen, and more will compete in the RotoWire NFFC Online Championship for a shot at $250,000. Sign up for a draft today at rotowire.com/high stakes. That's rotowire.com/high stakes. And our football draft kit app is going to be out real soon, too.
Yeah.
So that can help you complete your drafts and manage multiple drafts. Highly recommend that. All right, 2-start pitchers for the week of June 27th, 2025. Ryan Nelson, 2. Zach Gallen, 3. Jacob Lopez, 3. Grant Holmes, 3. Trevor Rogers, 2. Matthew Boyd, 4. Chase Burns, 2. Gavin Williams, 2. Chase DeLander, 0. Jack Flaherty, 3. Colton Gordon, I say 1. Todd, 0. Michael Walker, I must have deleted his number accidentally. I think we both said 3.
I'm at 3, yeah.
Yeah. Michael Lorenzen, I say 1. Todd, 2. Tyler Anderson, 1. Edward Cabrera, 2. Joe Ryan, 5. Clay Holmes, 3. Marcus Stroman, 0. Max Fried, 5. Zach Wheeler, 5. Andrew Heaney, 2. George Kirby, 5. Emerson Hancock, I say 1. Todd, 2. Logan Webb, 5. Hayden Birdsong, 3. Eric Fetty, 2. Drew Rasmussen, 4. Patrick Corbin, I say 0. Todd, 1. Max Scherzer, 3. Kevin Gossman, 4. And finally, Trevor Williams, 0. I want to thank you, Todd, for all the insight, and thank everybody for hanging out in the chat with us on this Friday. Anything else on your mind today?
Me or the guys in the chat? No.
Either one.
No, I'm just kidding. Where'd the heat go? It was so hot. Now it's back to being cold again.
Is it? It's still pretty warm here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, good. Well, good on that. We mentioned it. We're halfway done.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Where did it go? We're halfway done. No, we got a couple weeks. I without the Vegas trip this year. I just booked my hotel in the Cape, so I'm going to be seeing some Cape Cod League games. So
ooh, nice.
Looking forward to a little bit. I would have liked to have gone to Vegas, but we'll secondary. My next consolation prize heading down to the Cape for a week isn't so bad. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. That's
nice.
It'll
be good.
I need to get to some games this year. I keep thinking about maybe driving to Milwaukee for a game, but maybe for a Miz start. I'll have to get over there. But
he's
I've not
awesome.
been to a game. Not been to a game this season. Miz is.
Come on, you got to give me something for saying he's awesome.
Oh gosh, that finally clicked for me. I didn't get that at first. You'd think I would, but I didn't.
You'd think you would.
I'm not a fan of the wrestler, the Miz, but Mizorowski is highly impressive.
I've grown to like the Miz. I think he's done such a good job of getting other people over. I didn't like him when he was supposed to be, being put over. But now I think he's done such a great job of getting other guys over. But anyway, just me.
Well, I think I'm the Miz wrestler. He won a world title, right?
Yeah. Well, he cashed in. You know what though? He's also a big fantasy sports guy, so he might be listening to this.
Oh, that's true.
So go Miz.
Well, hey, if Jacob Mizorowski reaches the heights that the Miz did, I'd say it's a successful career. All right, guys, thank you for being with us. Appreciate it, and hope you'll tune back in next week on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast.